Greetings, this is Doc Ock coming at you live and direct from Black Facts Headquarters Central today with our last installment of Marcus Garvey, our last installment on Marcus Garvey and the UNIA. And we have a special selection we want to read today about Garvey. Actually, about Africa. Yeah, I'm not sure if Garvey read this or not, but it was so it appeared here in the book when I finished up our last segment yesterday, and it was so interesting. I said, we need to. I would just like to go ahead and read it. And there's more interesting readings in this book. Okay, there's more to this book than what we're going to be able to read during this particular month. But at least you have an idea of what you will find in the book, The Philosophy and Opinions of Marcus Garvey. There's all kinds of speeches in there, sayings in there, etc. It's a very valuable resource because we do have a few recordings of Garvey, but I don't think we have that many. I've heard a few, but it's difficult to deal with his accent, and so that makes it difficult sometimes to be able to follow along or even pay attention. Sometimes you can get lost in the sauce. So reading the words out of the book silently or even out loud can be very helpful. But I recommend that everybody listen to at least one speech of Garvey's, or maybe as many as you can. Listen to as many speeches of his as you can, so you can actually hear how his way of delivery, because that was pretty unique as well. Well, meanwhile, let's go ahead and do what we need to do so we can get this thing off on the road. Number one, give us a like if you're watching on Facebook. If you're watching on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, and then go ahead and subscribe to the Tubular Black Facts channel. If you could do those three things, that would be great. And you subscribe to the Tubular Black Facts channel on YouTube. That's where our channel exists at. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and read our saying of the day, word of the day from Garvey. Let's see, word of the day from Garvey. What has he got to tell us today? Yeah, this one here. Okay, I don't think I've read this one before, but if I have read it before, it's always good to read things over again. It may hit you different the second time than it did the first time. So this one is based on one of his famous sayings, Africa for the Africans. So Garvey says, day by day we hear the cry of Africa for the Africans. This cry has become a positive, determined one. It is a cry that is raised simultaneously the world over because of the universal oppression that affects the Negro. Now, that's actually the one I was going to read yesterday, but then I saw another one that caught my eye, and I read a different one yesterday. So, again, day by day we hear the cry of Africa for the Africans. This cry has become a positive, determined one. It is a cry that is raised simultaneously the world over because of the universal oppression that affects the Negro. Now, we're going to go ahead and skip into the middle of the book here. And this one is called Claims of Africa. And it's an extract from a speech delivered in Congress by Mr. Burgess in the year of Rhode Island on May 10, 1830. Here it is here. This is why. This is how it's connected to Garvey. Okay, so it's connected to Garvey with this piece right here. 90 odd years ago, a thoughtful, liberty-loving white statesman of America made the following speech in Congress. There you go. That's how it's connected. Because I was going to say that's way before Garvey's time, and I see I'm having a bit of an issue here with our slideshow. Let's see if I can get it to run properly today. Sometimes I have to give it a hard boot, give it a little kick by the seat of the pants, so to speak here. And let's see if it'll work now. Okay. Hopefully that'll work. Let's see. So, extract from a speech delivered in Congress by Mr. Burgess of Rhode Island, May 10, 1830. During the last century, a mighty revolution of mind has been made in the civilized world. Its effects are gradually disclosing themselves and gradually improving the condition of the human race. The eyes of all nations are turned on these United States. For here, that great movement was commenced. Africa, like a bereaved mother, holds out her hands to America and implores you to send back her exiled children. Does not Africa merit much at the hands of other nations? Almost 4,000 years ago, she, from the then rich storehouse of her genius and labor, sent out to them science and arts and letters, laws and civilization. Number 2, wars and revolutions have exhausted this ancient abundance and spread ignorance and barbarism over her regions, and the cupidity of other nations has multiplied and aggravated these evils. The ways of providence cannot always be seen by man. When the Almighty comes out of his cloud, light fills the universe. What a mystery when the youthful patriarch, lost to his father, has been sold into slavery. What a display of wisdom and benignity when we are permitted to see all the families of the earth blessed by the event of their restoration. Number 3, shall we question the great arrangements of divine wisdom, or hold parlance with the power who has made whole countries the enduring monuments of his avenging justice? Let these people go. They are citizens of another country. Send them home. Send them home, instructed and civilized and imbued with the pure principles of Christianity. So may they instruct and civilize their native land and spread over its wide regions the glad tidings of human redemption. Secure to your country, to your age, to yourselves, the glory of paying back to Africa the mighty arrears of nations. Add another new world to the civilized regions of the globe. Do you say your state will be depopulated, your fields left without culture? In countries equal in fertility and under the same laws, you cannot create a void in population. As well might you make a vacuum in the atmosphere. Better, more efficient labor will come to your aid. Free men, observant of the same laws, cherishing the same union, worshiping the same God with you, will place themselves by your side. This change of moral and physical condition in our population will follow the removal of that pernicious cause, now so productive of alarming difference in political opinions, jealousies incident to our present state, shall give place to a glorious emulation of patriotism and, oh my country, if God so please, thou shalt be united and prosperous and perpetual. Help the Negro to return home. Surely The time has come for the Negro to look homeward. He has won civilization and Christianity at the price of slavery. The Negro, who is thoughtful and serviceable, feels that God intended him to give to his brothers still in darkness the light of his civilization. The very light element of Negroes do not want to go back to Africa. They believe that in time, through miscegenation, the American race will be of their type. This is a fallacy, and in that respect, the agitation of the mulatto leader, Dr. W.B. Du Bois, and the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People is dangerous to both races. The off-colored people, being children of the Negro race, should combine to reestablish the purity of their own race, rather than seek to perpetuate the abuse of both races. That is to say, all elements of the Negro race should be encouraged to get together and form themselves into a healthy whole, rather than seeking to lose their identities through miscegenation and social intercourse with the white race. These statements are made because we desire an honest solution of the problem, and no flattery or deception will bring that about. Let the white and Negro people settle down in all seriousness and in true sympathy and solve the problem. When that is done, a new day of peace and goodwill will be ushered in. The natural opponents among Negroes to a program of this kind are that lazy element who believe always in following the line of least resistance, being of themselves void of initiative and the pioneering spirit to do for themselves. The professional Negro leader and the class who are agitating for social equality feel that it is too much work for them to settle down and build up a civilization of their own. They feel it is easier to seize onto the civilization of the white man and, under the guise of constitutional rights, fight for those things that the white man has created. Natural reason suggests that the white man will not yield them. Hence, such leaders are but fools for their pains. Teach the Negro to do for himself. Help him the best way possible in that direction, but to encourage him into the belief that he is going to possess himself of the things that others have fought and died for is to build up in his mind false hopes never to be realized. As for instance, Dr. W.B. Du Bois, who has been educated by white charity, is a brilliant scholar, but he is not a hard worker. He prefers to use his higher intellectual abilities to fight for a place among white men in society, industry, and in politics, rather than use that ability to work and create for his own race that which the race could be able to take credit for. He would not think of repeating for his race the work of the Pilgrim Fathers or the colonists who laid the foundation of America. Rather, he prefers to fight and agitate for the privilege of dancing with a white lady at a ball at the Biltmore or at the Astoria hotels in New York City. That kind of leadership will destroy the Negro in America, and against which the Universal Negro Improvement Association is fighting. The Universal Negro Improvement Association is composed of all shades of Negroes, blacks, mulattoes, and yellows, who are all working honestly for the purification of their race and for a sympathetic adjustment of the race problem. I think, I see here. All right, so if God so please, thou shalt be united and prosperous and perpetual. That was actually where this quote apparently that's where this quote ended. And then after that, it went back to Garvey again. Okay, I see how this went. Because in 1830 there was no UNIA, so he couldn't have been talking about that if he was talking from 1830. So he just threw in a really long quote and then went on to make his point. Now, the thing about that that I noticed is that it was a very patronizing statement, both the one made by Burgess in Congress and to a large extent the one made by Garvey. So one thing we have to keep in mind when we're thinking about Marcus Garvey and we're listening or reading some of his speeches, etc., is that there are some differences in terms of the situation in his time and the situation as it is now in our time. Because in his time, there were no countries in Africa other than Ethiopia and Liberia. Those were the only two countries. The rest of Africa were all colonies, but there were no countries. And so, like in America, you had colonies. You had the Virginia was a colony, Rhode Island was a colony. These were all separate colonies that were part of a group, the 13 colonies. And so when Garvey, his vision of Africa was a vision of Africa as one country, as opposed to many countries like it is today. The problem is that he had no inkling of the complexity of the African cultures, languages, relationships, history, etc. Just like leaders had no idea then, they barely have an idea now. Because within, just say, the country of Nigeria, which is a made-up thing, okay, it wasn't a natural country beforehand. It was just somewhere somebody marked some lines on a piece of paper and said, inside these lines, we're going to call that Nigeria. You have people speaking what, 200, maybe 300 different languages, separate languages, not dialects, but languages. And so there's a variety, and they're practicing various cultures as well. They come from different tribes. So they're about just as many tribes as there are language. Every tribe has their own language. And so this kind of complexity eluded Garvey. So the idea of a United States of Africa, like we have a United States of America, is really a backwards notion, an ignorant idea. Okay, you could only come up with that idea if you didn't know anything about Africa or African history. But if you know anything about Africa or African history, you would say, yeah, that's really going to be a tough call, especially now after these various countries were formed, even though they were formed on a false basis, because now you have people's priorities that are in the way. This person, they have power over this area and somebody else has power over that area. Nobody wants to give up what they have. So you'd have to come up with another idea, possibly an African Union or something of that nature where you could get cooperation amongst the various countries. But even that is going to be difficult because you have forces outside of Africa who have a vested interest in making sure nothing like that happens. Because as long as the people stay divided, the resources are there for the taking. And they're quickly being sucked right up out of the ground and taken to other countries for the benefit of those outside of Africa as opposed to those in Africa. So it's a really complex situation that needs to be looked at further. Meanwhile, we're going to go ahead and sign off. This is Doc Ock signing off. Tonight we will not be reading from Blake or The Huts of America. We did our last reading from that last night, and apparently I was real tired. So when you see that recording, if I look really tired, that's only because I sound really tired. That's because I apparently was kind of frazzled yesterday. I try not to be that way. I try to make sure I get my rest and I'm ready and rearing to go at 9 o'clock. But that's how I went last night. So at any rate, this is the end of the month and the beginning of a new month. We are looking for donations. Please go ahead and make those donations. You can make them at www.blakfacts.org. That's where you can find me. You can also make them, you can find links in the descriptions of our live streams on Facebook and YouTube. You can find links there that you can use to go to a donation page on our website, or you can donate right on the Facebook page. And for that one, if you're on your mobile phone, you have to open up your notifications bar on the right side of your screen. So that's all for now. Peace out without a doubt. We'll be black tonight at 9. This is Doc Ock at noon and 9, signing off. Peace, at least, with justice, because anything less disgusts us.